Hi, I'm getting ready for the day and I thought I would just jump on camera. I have not done a get ready with me in 112 years and I have a story to tell about how I broke my arm. So stay tuned, let's get this face looking better and let's talk about my crazy incident. So I'm just gonna try to chat a little bit about what I'm doing, you know, the makeup I'm putting on. This is just like my kind of everyday sort of a thing. I just grabbed some of the things that I use almost all the time, and so I'm just gonna be doing that. I may be in the middle of my story while I'm putting something on, but I promise you I will list everything down below if you're interested, or just ask questions afterwards in the comments if you have a question on what the heck was that and what did you use or whatever, if I didn't mention it or I forgot or whatever. So let's just start in with how I start, because I showered. And it's quite the feat because well, it's better now because I don't have a full cast on. So anyway, it's been interesting with this whole break thing. But I've showered, I washed and dried and fixed my hair and got dressed. Beyond that, nothing else has happened. So I've got to start with my moisturizer and so forth. So let's do that. I will try to remember to at least do that. So then I will link down below what it is. I always start with eye cream. I'm just going to do this in the order I normally do it. So here we go. My mirror's over here in case you see me looking over there all the time. And I'm using my left hand a lot because I broke my right elbow. I'm right-handed. So it's right here. I'm in a soft cast now, which has been wonderful because, wow, having the full cast and stuff, not good. So anyway, yeah. Let's see, it's been a week and a few days. So over a Friday ago. Jim and I were in having dinner. So we were at Epcot having dinner. We decided to just go one evening. Let's just pop over there just for dinner. We were just going to go to dinner, walk around, you know, see some of the pretty sights because the flower whatever festival is going on, and just see what we wanted to eat something, walk around, get some steps in, and go back to the car and go home. So we weren't trying to do anything else but that, which we do, you know, as often as we can. We'll just choose a park and go eat dinner. So we did that. We ended up getting fish and chips at the, you know, in England on the Epcot showcase thing. We got fish and chips, and we had this fabulous place where we sat right down by the water. It's like you go down behind the fish and chips place, you go down the steps, and then, well, there's an area to sit, but then you can go down steps from there, and there's all these tables down there, and I swear I think people forget them. So that's a great spot in case you're ever wanting to go there. Wonderful, wonderful. So we were there by ourselves for the most part, and the way the sun was shining and getting us in the shade, it was even more perfect because we got to face all the pretty stuff. So anyway, we had fish and chips. It was really, really good. Sunscreen. Yeah, fish and chips were really, really good. Haven't had those yet. I hadn't tried those before, so those were really good. And went to just sort of walk around. We headed the other direction to do the rest, just to walk past the rest of the countries. And, you know, just enjoying the night. It wasn't too crowded. It was early evening. We had an early dinner. We wanted to get home in a decent time, thank goodness, considering what happened next. So we're on our way to the parking lot and just to drive home. And we were, oh gosh, over close to the giant ball, you know what I mean, the Spaceship Earth. And a little boy and his dad were there to our left, and this little boy just shot out like a cannon, you know, I mean, just ran right in front of us. And that just I kind of did the stutter step stop thing, and the boy went, and I was kind of looking to see if the dad was going to go too, which kind of made me even do more of a stutter kind of a thing. And the dad decided to stay back and let us go, but something in that just tripped me up. I was wearing like sneakers, you know, so it wasn't any kind of a weird shoe, something I use all the time. It was just real casual. And I just, for some reason, started falling forward, lost my footing in this tripping thing, and somehow went straight forward, but at a little bit of an angle, and slammed down on both of my arms to try to catch my fall. And my palms were all, you know, scraped up. My knee was bloody. It was kind of a mess. But I ended more up on this side. I think more of my weight hit that side, and I could tell I was hit harder than just a normal fall. I mean, I knew it wasn't very good, and plus it was really hot, and you know, I was just sort of feeling the heat a little bit too, and I don't know, but for whatever reason, it took me longer than usual to get up. And as I got up, I knew there was something a little bit overdone with this arm. You know, I could tell. In the past, when I was 15, I broke this elbow, and yeah, I fell off a log. I was 15 years old at a nature walk thing, and I was walking across a log that was crossing a stream, and I lost my footing, fell off into the stream, and like slammed my elbow down into a rock, and that's how I broke that one. So that happened when I was 15. So I knew the feeling of it just kind of feels, I don't know, I can't even describe it, but I kind of knew that feeling. I'm like, oh boy, this does feel like that. But I was bending my arm. I was saying, okay, it works. It just feels really, really shocked and traumatized, but maybe it's just muscles and stuff. So it still works. So I'm walking my bloody self. I mean, my skin, my knee was completely bloody, but it wasn't running down my leg or anything. I didn't want to go to the first aid people there at Disney. I didn't want to have to fill out an incident report or anything like that. By the way, the dad, while I got myself up, well, Jim helped me get up off the ground and walked over to a place where I could sit down. And I was sitting there and just feeling like in shock and kind of faint. So I had my head down between my knees pretty much, and Jim was body blocking the sun from me, when all of a sudden I hear this little boy go, "I'm sorry." And I look up and he's just like looking at me, and his dad's standing behind him because, you know, the kid shot out in front of me, which made me fall, but whatever. And I mean, I barely remember any of it because I was going through a lot of pain and stress and stuff, but I do remember, because he said it several times, "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry." And I just kept saying, "Oh, honey, don't worry about it." I remember I called him sweetheart. I said, "Oh, sweetheart, I'll be fine. Thank you, you know, for apologizing, but it's okay, you know. I know you're excited," and blah, blah, blah. So I know I did say the right things, thank goodness, because I didn't want this boy to feel horrible the rest of his time, or his dad to be super mad at him or whatever. So at this point, I had no idea I had a broken arm or anything, but not that that would have mattered. It wasn't the kid's fault. He was excited. He was at Disney, whatever. So I remember having enough wits about me to do that, and then got my head back down because I was starting to, like, my sight was going out, you know, trying to function. So I got to do this while I talk. So anyway, I did that. I, you know, was just kind of sitting there trying to feel good enough to make it to the next place I could sit down, because I couldn't really go very far. Really shaken, you know. In this time, absolutely no, you know, cast member, anybody ever came up to me. This one lady did offer me water, and Jim was getting ready to go get me some water, but he didn't want to leave me, which was really sweet of her, which was great. So that was super sweet. But it wasn't a cast member, it was just a guest, you know, at the park. She was really adorable. So anyway, that was sweet. So we just sort of went spot to spot so I could sit down a little bit more, walk a little bit further, sit down a little bit more, until I made it out to the car. And on the way home, I'm like, okay, my elbow is, I call it solidifying, like it was getting tighter and tighter. And I knew that that was like, you know, inflammation, and something was, and that's exactly what happened with this one when I broke it. I'm like, okay, this is not feeling good. Something's wrong, and it really, really hurts. And I couldn't move it at that point. I couldn't straighten it. I had to like hold it, loop my hand in my belt loop of my shorts, because I needed to kind of keep it in that position. I couldn't dangle. So I knew it was that. So we get home, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I think I need to go to an urgent care. I need to have this x-rayed. And so we did that, and I went to the urgent care, got it x-rayed, and I couldn't, at the point, at the x-ray place, I got there at the very last minute before they closed. As a matter of fact, they had to like lock the door behind me because I was like the last person before they were going to close. Anyway, they got me in real fast, but I couldn't extend my elbow enough. I couldn't like pass this for them to x-ray it very well. So they did the best they could with me. There were screams and cries coming out of me that sounded feral. I mean, when I would try, I was trying so hard to cooperate the best I could. You know, I mean, I'm one of those where I can take a lot of pain. And they didn't even really think it was bad, because I'm like, I think I fractured my arm. This is why I'm here, blah, blah. And they're just looking at me funny and like, okay, can you fill out this paperwork? I'm like, I'll have to do it with my left hand. I mean, like, I was all just like, you know, like I didn't seem like I was in pain at first. Then when they took me back to x-ray and I had to try to straighten it, I'm telling you, the sounds that came out of my mouth were things I'd never heard before. So anyway, I knew, okay, this is bad. So anyway, I straightened it out the best I could. We got the best angles we could, and they could tell what looked like there was like a chip off the side from the x-ray. So like, okay, you definitely fractured your arm. Well, it was funny, because when they came back in, you know, after the doctor took a look at the x-rays, I'm sitting there, you know, just sitting there waiting, and she walks in, and she had a whole different personality, because she was just like, okay, so how does it feel? Well, what'd you do? You know, but then when she came in, she's like, you're in pain, aren't you? I'm like, yes, I am. Because I wasn't like moaning and crying, you know, I think that must be what they're used to. So anyway, she goes, because yeah, you fractured your elbow. So anyway, but the swelling had to go down further for them to be able to, figure out more stuff about it. So, yeah. I'll throw a little bit of this on too. So they are like, okay, we need you to get the swelling down. They put me in a casty thing, just like a temporary-ish cast thing, and gave me some anti-inflammatory. I'm doing this all with my left hand. It's very awkward. I'm just doing one of these. So anyway, I was sent home with instructions that in the morning, another radiologist would try to read that and see if we needed more, if he wanted to send me to an ortho that day, the next morning, to get better look at it, because, we couldn't really get a very good look at the x-ray because my arm couldn't cooperate. So I'm like, okay, so I had an anti-inflammatory, and it was supposed to help with pain too. Well, that night was no fun at all. I was in so much pain, and I was just trying to get settled into bed. I couldn't lay on my right side. I couldn't lay on my left. I couldn't lift my arm past this, it was just like straight against my body. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrific, and yeah, no fun at all. So then the next morning, I heard from the radiologist that, yeah, they would like to get some more x-rays, because they can't quite tell. It's definitely a fracture, but they need to know a little bit more. But don't move it, which I couldn't anyway, and just keep wearing that splint thing. So I was doing that. I literally slept in the clothes that night. I slept in the ones that I was still wearing from that Disney fall. I didn't want to cut my shirt and bra off. And I couldn't lift my arm up, past my belly, basically. And I wasn't even going to risk it. Just breathing hurt, so I wasn't going to do it. So I'm like, nope, just going to try to lay down here and sleep with this on me. So that was fun. Anyway, this was just a face powder. So there's that. So then I went in the next day to see if the swelling was down enough we could get better x-rays. So I did that, got better x-rays. I could move my arm a little bit more. And those x-rays showed that it wasn't just a chip. In fact, it had fractured all the way across. The whole bone had a fracture across it. But it wasn't displaced. It was still in the right spot. So that was good news. And yeah, so it was a bigger deal than we even knew that it was at the beginning. And the thing is that they did learn that with this type of a fracture, people who have been in the cast, just stuck there in a solid cast for the full 6 to 8 weeks, they have a really hard time being able to then extend their arm all the way afterwards. When it's all done, they can never completely extend their arm. And this one, when I was 15, it was in one of those really heavy, plaster type casts, because this was back in the, Stone Ages. And I remember that it was a real struggle for me to get past this a long time. I had to really work it to make sure I could. So yeah, that was going to be something that they definitely learned, that a person needs to exercise it or they will lose range of motion. And being my dominant arm and dominant hand, they wanted to make sure I could. So basically the story is that it was up to me to try to keep it protected. They say I can either go with it complete, I can take the soft cast off, for showering and so forth. If I want to wear it, I can. If I go out, if I'm in the house, I don't have to wear the sling, but if I go outside of the house, I should wear the sling, mostly to get people to realize not to bump into me, but also to remind myself not to use it too much when I'm out and about. It's easier at home not to. Eyebrows. So so it was wonderful that I got that off, because then I could shower properly, very carefully, all that stuff. But what I can't do, this is so hard with my left hand, what I can't do with this arm or hand is to lift anything heavier than my cell phone. The first person said anything heavier than a coffee cup, which I thought was a very funny American way of saying, because everything, it seems like we measure things in strange units sometimes. Anyway, so yeah, nothing heavier than a coffee cup. And then the second orthopedic person said nothing heavier than my cell phone. In fact, they want me to do exercises that I use my cell phone in my hand as the weight. So that was interesting. But the thing was that I had to be able to exercise it, and they gave me a set of exercises to do so that I can have, range of motion in the end. And see, I can use this arm. I'm just so scared. So anyway, let me see. It's hard to bend, but anyway, I'm going to try it with this one. Because I'm allowed to, and I'm supposed to be able to use it. I'm supposed to be able to move it, because I need to move it to keep it good, be able to move. I just can't lift anything heavier than a cell phone, and I can't push or pull anything, which pretty much leaves not a lot, because I can't push a grocery cart, you know what I mean? I can't, you know, to cook, I have to be careful not to lift a pan, you know, stuff like that. Yeah. Even like my big honking thing of ice water is too heavy for that hand. I'm just using my left hand for pretty much everything. But at least it's there and I can use it when I need to, and I'm supposed to try to use it when I need to. So that's the good news. Clothing fits over, you know, the soft cast thing, and it's not a big deal that way. Just I have to be super careful. So that is what has happened. I am going to be going to Scotland in a few weeks, so I will still have this issue in Scotland. I go back again to the doctor in 2 weeks, and we take another x-ray, make sure everything's healing properly and that I'm not messing it up, because if I do mess it up again and it does, you know, the two bones get, you know, off kilter or whatever, that requires surgery, and apparently the surgery is awful and rarely works well, so we don't want that. So yeah, I'm just gonna make sure that that doesn't happen as best I can while trying to travel to another country. Everyone in my family is going to be on luggage duty for me and things like that. So, and I'm terrible at asking for help. This is what I use most of the time, just all the time for every day. Seriously, super simple. So I'm terrible at asking for help on things like that. Just awful. I'd much rather do anything myself than to, you know, have other people. I have to even ask other people to help me. So they thought my family's been amazing trying to help me. And you know, if they're busy doing something at the moment, I was wanting to ask them to do something, I'll find a way to do it with my left hand. And they look at me like, you shouldn't have done that. I'm like, I used my left hand. So anyway, I'm kind of incorrigible when it comes to that kind of thing. I'm bad. So anyway, that's basically my story. It's not fun. It hurts like crazy. Like just doing this, it hurts badly, but it's not because of the bone so much as all the ligaments and everything are torn. My knee is scabbing up and healing, you know, okay, both knees actually. My palm is much better now. It was really scraped up badly and bloody. That healed faster than I thought it would. But yeah, I'm gonna have to like pack and be all ready for, you know, walking around the moors of Scotland, and we're gonna be in England too a little bit. But I'm hoping by then, it's still, you know, a few weeks out, that it will, I'll be feeling better and it won't hurt as much. But then again, if it doesn't hurt as much, I'll forget not to use it. So that's where I'm going to get into trouble. Because I know me and I overdo things. So yeah, that's my story. And yeah. So that's what's happening here. Oh, my sister just texted wanting me to chat briefly. Okay. Sorry, Connie. So yeah, I'm just doing my everyday, just easy kind of a thing. I really am here. Nothing exciting, but I thought since I'm doing it and I'm sitting here, I may as well tell you my story. So there's that. Let's throw in some This Is liner. Just a little bit. I think I'm running to Home Depot with Jim today. Nothing exciting, but just to be there to help pick out a ceiling fan. That's part of the plan for the day. I've got something going on, seems like every single day this week coming up, and I'm just going to function through it the best I can. I can drive. I have been driving, so that's not bad. So yeah, that's kind of how that's been going. It's a whole new world having to just use your left hand a lot. I am finally into using my right hand more. Like right now, doing mascara with my left hand, scary. But, you know, you do what you gotta do. And I'm one of those people, I'm just completely determined to find a way. You know what I mean? I'm not one of those give up people at all. It almost makes me mad if there's something I know I can't do, and I will find a way to do it, and then I will prove to myself I can, and feel much better. Because if there's something I feel like I can't do, it bugs me. However, I can't iron. I can, I'm just bad at it. And I don't care to learn. I really don't. It's just not something that I care enough to do. So there's that. Obviously, if I have to, I do, you know, when forced. It's just not good. Yeah. So yes, I might need a little extra something there. I'm not saying this is gonna look good. I'm gonna add a little bit of this, it's an eyeshadow stick, but I love this kind of as a liner to add a little bit extra, but once that dries, I'll just sort of add that in there. Okay. This, I've used the heck out of this color. I'm almost out of it. I have several other bits and things that I use when this is gone, but I don't use the other two. I just use this color. It's perfect. the Smashbox step-by-step contour palette. I just wish it only came in this, because that's all I really want. It's kind of the perfect shadow color, because I don't want it to be bronzy looking, because that's just weird to me, and it always looks orange on my skin somehow. I want it to look like a shadow. Like that's what it's supposed to look like, you know? Contour is supposed to be more like a shadow rather than a tan. So when you have cheekbones, the sun too, but the light, you know, makes a shadow there. So that's the thing. So that's what I'm trying to replicate with that color. But whatever, not the world's biggest deal. And then my ever-loving Merit blush in Beverly Hills. Always. It's like my always one. 9 times out of 10, this is what I've got on. It's just too simple. Can't beat it. Let's throw some of this. It's in Smoky Amethyst Shimmer. I really love this. It's just like a little purpley type color. It brings out the green in my eyes, which I like too. Depending on what I'm wearing. If I'm wearing blue, my eyes look blue. If I'm wearing green, they really pop green. I had an ophthalmologist recently, a new one, because I moved to Florida, you know, was doing my eye thing, looking at him, and she's like, well, you're one of the very rare people that has actually green eyes. As she's looking through the microscope thing, I'm like, well, okay, so I guess if an ophthalmologist says they're green, then they must be green, deep down in there. But they do change with the colors I wear sometimes. Anyway, there's that. What's left? Oh yeah, lips. I always use this liner, even if I'm wearing like just sort of a balm that has a color to it, because it's just sort of simple, and I'll show you where I put it. I don't line the whole lips thing with it, but just basically, I go under, barely, you know, like attached, but a tiny bit under, and smear it out a little bit, and Cupid's bow. And then just sort of smear it around a little bit. And that just gives me enough definition that whatever I'm putting on top of it, no matter what it is, been using the heck out of this one. That lip gloss stick thing in Simulation, the Squirt, the MAC, been using the heck out of it. And then also, but I think today I'm gonna use this one. Again, I will link the color down below if I can figure out what it is. But I love this one, it's a good one. And it's basically also very slippy, like a lip balm, but it's got color in it. But not too much. Love it. So I think that is the whole deal. I could add a little bit more under eye stuff, I think, if I wanted to. Let's do it for fun. Where's this one? As you saw, I basically use this as a foundation. I just pop it on. This is what I first put on after my skincare. Just gonna do my under eyes, and then just here and there, little dots here and there on the rest of my face, and smear that around. And it just sort of works as a really light sort of foundation on days where I really don't need to kind of do too much. So that works out really well. And then to set all that, I always use the Bare Minerals mineral veil. Ta-da! All-nighter. I find trying to squirt things, I don't have the strength. It hurts too bad here to squirt. So I use my left hand for squirting. So that is my face for the day. It was so much fun chatting with you, and you get to hear my fun story. I'm doing fine. I will do fine. Like I say, I'm bound and determined to just do things as best as I can and get through things the best I can, and just find other ways. So that's what I'm going to do. It was just a really silly accident. I mean, come on. The first time I broke my arm and when I was 15 and I had to go back to school with the cast on and everyone's like, how'd you do it? I so badly wanted to be able to say something heroic, you know, like, well, I was skydiving and, you know, something like that, you know, but no, I fell off a log. It was easy as falling off a log. Then boom. But anyway, I don't have a very heroic story this time either. I still wasn't skydiving. I was walking back from dinner and a kid ran out in front of me. So, and then I completely tripped over my own feet like an idiot. So yeah, they're both very idiotic stories of how I broke myself, but whatever. I can deal with that. I'm not proud. So obviously, I put my whole bare face out here in the whole world to see. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me. By the way, stick with me. My bag, if you're interested in my Louis Vuitton bag that I had completely repaired from 100 years ago, you know, the 2016 bag. If you want to know what's going to go on with that one, stay tuned. Click subscribe if you aren't so you don't miss it, because honestly, my bag is on its way here. It should be here, I think, tomorrow. And I will definitely, I'm so excited to see what it looks like now with all the new pieces and parts and see if it looks like Frankenstein or if they did a good job. So stay with me. That's going to be next. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you soon.